When Yona walked into her father's study, she felt a little nostalgic. It had been a long time since she last went in there. If she didn't remember wrongly, the journal was under the desk. After Yona walked closer to the desk, she then picked up the transparent cloth that covered under the desk. But, she was then surprised when she saw that the safe had a password. This was different from what she remembered. Yona felt a little disappointed when she saw that, but, she then thought of something. If it was her father, she then tried to crack the password by inputting her birthday, but it didn't work. But Yona did not give up and tried again by inputting her mother's birthday, but unfortunately it failed too. After that, Yona stopped for a moment and thought hard in cracking the password. If it wasn't those two things, then there was only one answer. After thinking about it, Yona then entered a series of numbers into the safe, and sure enough her guess was correct and the safe finally managed to open. Yona was then happy to see that. She was not only happy because the safe finally managed to open but also because her father apparently set the password for the safe using her and her mother's birthday. After that, Yona then took the book inside the safe. It was exactly the book she was looking for, at that time. Right after Yona ordered her guild members to collect all the information related to Kim Hajin that they had collected, her guild members then informed her again. He said that they had collected all the information about Kim Hajin. In their investigation, they found a fact that after the Gwangho crisis occurred, Kim Hajin was placed in an orphanage near the Gwangho shelter. Yona smiled happily when she read that. She felt that she was getting closer to the truth. She also felt that she had not remembered wrongly. She had seen the word Gwangho before. After that, Yona then flipped through the book to look for information related to the Gwangho incident, until finally, she found it. In the book it was written that the note was written on September 9, 2008, with trembling hands and teeth biting his lower lip, which showed the strong emotional turmoil that the writer was currently experiencing. He wrote, "Today, a report about Gwangho incident was filed. I don't think I'll ever forget what happened that day in Gwangho for the rest of my life." Yona was stunned and stared in disbelief as she read the journal written by her father. Meanwhile, inside Hajin's dormitory, Evangel and Whitey were enthusiastically watching a television show. Hajin was speechless when he saw that. They were completely focused. He understood if it was Evangel, but what confused him was that Whitey was also enthusiastically watching the show as if she understood. Putting that aside, Hajin felt that this cat did look quite intelligent, but he then thought of something and immediately took out Homer's ring. The ring had the effect of increasing the user's intelligence by 0.001 every 24 hours with a maximum increase of 0.365. If he thought about it again, there was no rule that said that only humans could use it. After thinking of the idea, Hajin decided to try it. He then modified a little description of the ring's effect and added that if the user was not human, their intelligence would increase by 0.01 every 12 hours with a maximum increase of 0.365. The modification required 40 SP. Hajin felt that the transaction was not bad. Now it only took about 18 days to reach the limit, but Hajin did not stop experimenting until there. He then modified the ring effect and added, only for the first user, the speed of intelligence development was doubled. But, modifying the effect turned out to require as much as 250 SP, it was quite expensive for him. He could only chuckle at that. He felt that the system meant that humans and animals were not at the same level, but, his attention was soon distracted. When he saw Evangel, who was enthusiastically watching the television show with Whitey, they seemed to get along very well now, which was completely different from the first time they met. Hajin couldn't help but smile when he saw that. He then didn't hesitate anymore and immediately invested his SP. He probably wouldn't get any profit from this, but he hoped that this would help Evangel. He wanted to see how smart she could be. After thinking about it, Hajin then inserted Homer's ring into Whitey's tail. Meanwhile, with dark clouds covering the sky, inside the Yu family residence, inside the family head study, Yona with trembling hands kept flipping through her father's journal. Her eyes sharpened as if she couldn't believe what she was reading. With a trembling tone she wondered, what the hell is this? In the journal it was written, and after hiring an assassin, he assigned me to plan the whole operation. Yona was really confused about what her father meant when he read that sentence. And the more she read the journal, the more she couldn't believe what she read. In the journal, her father mentioned one name, Jin Young-hwan. Her father also made a brief introduction about him. He is an honest person who is trusted by others and a person who always fought against injustice. But President Kim Suk-ho, who saw Jin Young-hwan as a thorn in his side, labeled him as a Jin spy. His father speculated that maybe he was just afraid that his corruption would be exposed. but leaving that aside, the real problem was the fact that Chai Juchul also wanted Jin Younghwan dead, so, he agreed with the claim that he was a jinn, and to avoid suspicion of assassination, he ordered the complete eradication of those who followed him. Then he hired an assassin and put me in charge of executing the massacre. On the day of September 8th, an urgent radio message came from Jin Younghwan. He informed about the presence of monsters and asked for reinforcements, but since that monster incident was something I fabricated, I ordered them to prioritize civilian rescue, and prove them straight into the jaws of death. Jin Younghwan and his comrades tried to protect the citizens at the Guangzhou shelter, but around 8 p.m., an assassin infiltrated the shelter, and they were all slaughtered. Yona's heart seemed to stop at this moment. She was really shocked by what she read. She really could not believe what she read at this moment. Her father, who loved her so much, had caused the massacre. But her father's journal didn't stop there. She then found content in the journal that related to what she was looking for. The very next day, I received a report that one of Jin Younghwan's subordinates had been with his heavily pregnant wife. Yona was stunned when she read that. A conjecture then came to her mind. She then immediately turned the book to go to the next page. She consoled herself that there was no evidence that they were Hajin's parents, but, her hopes were then dashed when she read the next content in the journal. There was one shocking fact in the report. Traces of childbirth were found at the shelter, but the body of a newborn was nowhere to be found. Yona was silent after reading that. She then recalled the report that her Information Guild member reported to her, right after the Guangzhou incident, registered at an orphanage near the Guangzhou shelter, and as Yona continued to read the journal, the worry in her heart then peaked. When I questioned the assassin Chai Juchul had hired, he said he didn't kill the baby but he abandoned it, but that child was originally fated to die that day, so, I set out to find that infant, to kill it with my own hands. The shock and worry that was in Yona's heart could not be described by words when she read that. It never occurred to her before that she would find a terrible secret like this when going to read her father's journal. Meanwhile, when Hajin was looking at the togetherness of Evangel and Whitey, his attention was then distracted when he heard the sound of a message notification. The message turned out to be from the travel club, which informed the schedule of the club's next activity. The sender of the message informed that they would go to the regional festival in Busan on next Saturday. He asked the members to confirm their participation in the activity through the message. Hajin's thoughts were somewhat mixed when reading the message. To be honest, he was not too happy, because every time the travel club went somewhere, there must be something that happened. Hajin could only sigh helplessly. It was created to make writing the story easier, so it can't be helped. After thinking about it, Hajin then replied that he would join, but, he suddenly thought of something. If the activity started on Saturday, then, he then called Evangel and asked her if she wanted to hang out next Friday. Evangel was then happy with his invitation. She then enthusiastically asked where. Hajin also smiled when he saw Evangel, who was so happy. He said that they were going to the Busan festival. He thought that day he would be free. He promised her that it would be fun. While Hajin and Evangel were happily planning their picnic schedule, on the other hand, Yona continued to read the journal written by her father. But at that moment, I suddenly remembered my daughter, who was born in April, a mysterious being who couldn't do anything on her own but made me happy just by existing. My daughter, Yona. In the end, I intentionally left out the report about that baby. Even so, that fact remains that I abandoned that child to his death, and killed his parents. I've already lived a life full of cowardice, and a little more filth won't change anything. Still, the fact that I'm leaving this in my journal, is it the last shred of my conscience, or just a coward's way of comforting himself? Or if not, could it be lingering resentment toward Chai Juchul? I can't tell the difference. Yona was silent for a moment after reading that. She could feel her father's self-doubt from his writing. Her hand was weakening at the moment, which made her drop the journal. She was also full of self-doubt at the moment. She wondered if they could really be good teammates. That guy once risked his life for her. But, Yona suddenly remembered when Hajin called her buddy. At that time he said that buddy means teammate. Yona was stunned when she recalled that moment. Hajin had considered her as a teammate. Yona's body couldn't help but tremble when she realized that. She was full of self-doubt at the moment, which made her unable to think clearly. Her father's journal had brought such a tremendous impact to her, until finally, only a cry filled with pain came out of her mouth.